and sisters, today inshallah we will talk about Surat Al-Asr. This surah, Imam al-Shafi'i has a saying about it. He says, if people pondered about Surat Al-Asr or applied it in their life, it would be enough for them as an admonition. Because Surat Al-Asr basically tells us the requirements for the person to save himself from the punishment of the dunya and the akhirah. There are 4 requirements to be fulfilled in this life. According to Surah Al-Asr, إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. To establish the iman, the belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and everything else Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala required us to believe in. And number 1 is the 6 pillars of iman, of course, but there are everything that was mentioned in the Quran and Sunnah we are required to believe in. The jinn, the shayateen, everything, the malaika, everything. What is happening in the future, all the details is part of the iman. Now, and then amal al-salih, to believe is one thing, but you have to prove this belief by some kind of action. We are all weak and our actions are deficient, and no one can fulfill all the obligations practically, but we have to show that we are trying. A person cannot say that I'm a Muslim and then he doesn't even make an effort to keep his 5 salah, because this is the least that you can do, keep your 5 salah. Yani, no one is totally free from sin and from shortcomings. We all fall into sin and we are all not fulfilling our obligation, but you can't come to something so major like the salah and leave it. وَالْعَهْدَ الَّذِي بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَهُمُ الصَّلَاةَ فَمَنْ تَرَكَهَا فَقَدْ كَفَرَ. The difference between us, according to the hadith, and the kuffar is the salah. Whoever abandoned the salah, he has joined the kuffar, according to the hadith. And this is so important, at least. And then if somebody keeps the salah 5 times a day and he's diligent about it, Allah will guide him to the next step and the next step. Inna salata tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar. Salah will make you abstain from anything that is wrong. So the salah is the start. Li'iman, innani ana Allahu la ilaha illallah illa ana fa'abudni wa aqim as-salata li dhikri. This is the first advice and commandment given to Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam when he heard Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talk to him for the first time. He says, I am Allah, fa'abudni, worship me and establish the salah. First thing, to unify Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, declare His unity, His oneness, and then to establish salah. Iman and then salah. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. عَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ, all the good deeds. وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ. Because we always have to advise each other and remind each other, because we are all weak and we all need reminders. وَذَكِّرْ فَإِنَّ الذِّكْرَ تَنْفَعُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Remind, because this remembrance benefits the believers. Everyone needs a reminder. There's not a single person who does not need a reminder. So this reminding, وَاذْكُرُوا مَا فِيهِ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. According to the ayah, the more we mention what is in the Quran and Sunnah, the more our level of taqwa goes up. The more we fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the more our deen is stronger. To not mention what is in the Quran and Sunnah, study it, mention it, read the Quran, read the Hadith. If we see something wrong, we say this is wrong to our families, to our friends, and so on. Then the deen will be lost. If nobody is talking about the deen will be lost. So وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. And then they all have to have patience. Sabr is part of the 4 pillars of salvation. You have to have the belief, apply what you believe in, and remind yourself and others with it. And all this requires an effort. This effort requires sabr. That is why this surah, if somebody applies it, it would be sufficient for him to basically have a good grasp and hold over his deen and his iman. Ibn Qayyim says, من أجمع سور القرآن للخير بحذافيره. He says this surah contains so much goodness with all its details, if you go into its details. The Sahaba, according to a narration by Abdullah ibn Husayn al-Ansari, he says the Sahaba, any two Sahaba of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, whenever they meet, they would not depart unless one of them recites to the other Surah Al-Asr, then they give salam to each other and depart. It is an authentic narration that almost none of us apply. Subhanallah. When was the last time you met with somebody and he mentioned Surah Al-Asr to you, or you mentioned Surah Al-Asr to them? We almost never do it. Subhanallah. So we have to, we always have to try to go back to applying the deen and the sunnah, and this is part of it. Now, Surah Al-Asr is preceded by Surah Al-Takathur, Al-Hakum Al-Takathur. And before Surah Al-Takathur, there was Surah Al-Qari'ah. Surah Al-Qari'ah, which is before Surah Al-Takathur, talks about the loss of the human being in the Akhirah, and that his balance, the weight of his balance of good deeds is low. وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَفَّتْ مَوَازِينُهُ. It's so light that the evil deeds were heavier. That led to him being thrown in the fire of hell. فَأُمُّهُ هَاوِيَةٌ وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا هِيَ نَارٌ حَامِيَةٌ. So the Surah Al-Qari'ah talks to us about the balance and the amount of good deeds that we need to do. Basically, it talks about how much we have applied those 4 pillars of salvation. If we have not applied them properly, then this balance is going to be very light. And our evil deeds will be heavy. And this is a big problem. It can lead to the human being being thrown in the fire of hell on his head. For ummuhu hawiya. Ummuhu here, ummuhu doesn't mean his mother, it means his head. He falls on his head in the fire of hell. May Allah save us. Because there's no death. Yani here, if you fall on your head, you lose consciousness, you don't feel it, you don't even remember it. But we ask Allah for His mercy and salvation. If somebody falls on his head in the fire of hell, the head comes back again normal and he feels the pain again. There is no sleep, there is no death in the fire of hell. There's actually no sleep in Jannah either, by the way. People in Jannah are in constant enjoyment. There is no sleep whatsoever in Jannah. Imagine that. They don't get tired, they don't get sick, they are just always enjoying, and the enjoyment is always getting better and better and better. And they never want to change. لا يبغون عنها حولا. You can imagine how much pleasure they are in. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us amongst the people of Jannah. Ameen. So, why are the balances low? Because this person was so engulfed in the dunya, not for goodness, but in the dunya for the dunya. Alhaakumut takathur. The following surah talks about the reason for this light balance. Why did he not do any good deeds to save himself? Because he was busy doing something else. Alhaakumut takathur hatta zurtumul maqabir. That he was busy with collecting the money by being proud and full of himself in this dunya, showing off. This is basically the meaning of takathur. He's showing off with the blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given him, which Allah may take from him in a second, of course, but he's just busy showing off with all this. He's talking about his family, even the dead people. He's saying, oh, I'm the son of such and such, so proud about his tribe, full of himself. أَلْهَاكُمُ التَّكَاثُرُ حَتَّى زُرْتُمُ الْمَقَابِرِ كَلَّا سَوْفَ تَعْلَمُونَ. And then Allah says, لَتَرَوُنَّ الْجَحِيمِ. If you keep doing this, again you will see the fire of hell. Another warning that if a person doesn't do his job in this dunya, which is iman, amal salih, tawasib al-haq, tawasib al-sabr, this is where he's ending. And then comes the following surah, which is al-Humazah. Again, warning the people about what is taking them away from those 4 pillars of salvation, which وَيْلٌ لِكُلِّ هُمَزَةٍ لُمَزَةٍ. He's always busy gossiping and talking about other people, backbiting, criticizing people. This is the meaning of humaza and lumaza. Criticizing people whether with his mouth or with his gestures. This is the meaning. So this person is not busy with his own salvation, he is busy with what other people are doing. You have nothing to do with what other people are doing. Just focus on yourself, inshallah it will be better for you. Focus on bettering yourself in dunya and akhirah, it will be better for you. Don't look at the faults of other people and forget your own faults. We have more. And we know more about our own faults and our disgraces than we know about other people. We only think about, it's only a gesture about other people. It's just, you're only thinking that they are bad, but you know that you are bad. For sure, 100% each one of us knows his own evils. But we are only guessing that maybe he's doing this for that reason, an evil reason. So, astaghfirullah, so we have to keep ourselves away from that. وَيْلٌ لِكُلِّ هُمَزَةٍ لُمَزَةٍ الَّذِي جَمَعَ مَالًا وَعَدَّدَ يَحْسَبُ أَنَّ مَالَهُ أَخْلَدَ. All he's busy with, again, is this dunya. Trying to collect as much as of this dunya and relying on the money, thinking this is all that this life is about. Collecting the money and enjoying it. I'm not saying that collecting money is wrong, because if you collect the money for a good reason, you are, inshaAllah ta'ala, worshipping Allah for that. Because you are helping yourself, helping your family, helping your community, helping Muslims all over. And according to the hadith, the blessed is the lawful money in the hands of the righteous person. As long as you collect the money from lawful ways, and it doesn't take you away from your obligations towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You can't be collecting money and neglecting the salah. this does not become a blessed money. You cannot be collecting money and forgetting to give people at least the zakah, and more than the zakah when people are in need. It's an obligation, by the way. We have to know, yes, zakah is one thing, but also في المال حق سوى الزكاة, according to the hadith. There is more obligation in your money than just the zakah, especially when people are in need. Prophet ﷺ used to get angry with the Sahaba when he finds people are in need. When people are in need, you have to pay more than the zakah. 2.5% of what you save is not enough to fulfill the needs of Muslims all over the world. So you have to think about this. And even your own family. Just think about your own family, your cousins, your distant cousins and close cousins, and so on, your uncles, your aunts. All these people, you are obligated to look after them if they cannot look after themselves, because they are Muslims, number one, and they are your rahim, they are your kinship, so on. So to rely on this money and live for it is the problem. But to collect it, to help yourself and help Muslims, it's actually a blessing, it's an act of worship. According to the hadith, the one who looks after the orphan and the widow, he is like the mujahid fi sabilillah. He's somebody who is sacrificing his life for the sake of Allah. And yes, he is sacrificing his life. What is life but the time? You are sacrificing your time to work to help those people. What is life but time? So you are giving your life, you are burning your life and your effort and your health to help those people. Yes, you are mujahid fi sabilillah. وَكَالْقَائِمِ اللَّيْلِ. And he's like somebody praying all night and fasting all day, just because he's working and helping other people. Wallah, we have a good opportunity, especially if you're in a part of the world where you can make more money than other people. You have a gate open to Jannah if you can utilize it and make good use of it. Inshallah, this is just an introduction to Surat Al-Asr, and we'll go into the explanation of Surat Al-Asr in the next khutbah. أقول قولي هذا استغفر الله عز وجل لي ولكم. Inshallah, we'll make the dua, and then before the salah there's a couple of announcements.